All right. All right, guys. Welcome to Director Bound Week 4, Inform and Invite. I am Kelly Smith, and I'm going to be your moderator tonight. So we are going to be talking about building a team. When you share our amazing business opportunity, there are people out there who need us. So we will talk during this session about informing and inviting people to our business. All right. Maybe if I can get my slide to change. There. So how's everything been going this last week? How did host coaching go with people this week if you had people to do that with? How did it go, girls?
Things are going really great for me.
Good, Ash.
So they're all working pretty well as far as I've been using kind of like the messaging that Stephen Joseph had on his, because he just does virtual, so that's helped.
Yeah.
I definitely tailor it so it sounds more like me.
Yeah. Right. So yes, always kind of change it to make it sounds like your wording, so it doesn't completely. If you're a person that doesn't say things like wowzer and you know what I mean, like don't be using stuff like that because they know it's not you then. How about you, Shannon? Have you had anybody to host coach this week?
I am host coaching when I have a party on Saturday. I'm usually texting her back and forth, and she seems to be pretty good with it. However, I do possibly have another consultant signing on by the end of the month.
Woo! So. Yay! You go, girl!
Pretty excited about that one.
Yay! That's awesome. Yes. So how are your guys' bookings for April and May looking then?
April is pretty scarce. May is still scarce. I've been trying and texting and calling and everybody. So
okay, have you used?
I got a few of those.
Go ahead. Okay, you had a few of what?
I just have a few that are trying to finagle a date. So they're looking at it, but still don't have a date yet.
Okay. And what I do then is I have a task thing in my Google Calendar. And so then I've got that person's name and what I'm working on. And then when they say I have to check a date, then what I'll do is I will take that task and move it to like 3 days from now and put it in there. So then that'll pop up 3 days from now for me to remind myself to check with them again, just so I can stay on top of it. And I don't just lose them in the shuffle of paperwork. And stuff. So try that. Another thing, Shannon, too, how long have you've been around for like at least a year, haven't you? Or more? Yeah. Have you been around for at least like a year, Shannon? Or more?
It was 2 in February.
2, that's what I thought. So you can go back and run reports. 2? Okay. You can go back and run reports under the first tab in Consultants Corner. Under that very first tab, I can't think of what it says right now. There'll say personal business reports, and you can print off like a report that will tell you like everybody that's purchased cookware from you. And then maybe they want like everybody that ordered like a stainless steel pan from you last year when they came out, maybe see if they want to add a wok to their collection, stuff like that. So sometimes just going back and doing that, or contacting your people that had shows in April last year even. Okay. All right. So how are you doing with tracking your leads? How's the notebook going? Pretty good? Or however you're tracking them?
I'm still trying to figure out a system for that, but going back to the last question, I do have my 3 virtuals starting tomorrow.
Yay.
And I've got two other people I'm talking to about booking, and then I have one set up to start next Monday as well. So
awesome job, Ash.
April is good.
April's good. And also too, I want you to remember, because I leave on Sunday for Hawaii. And so Sarah said that, if anybody needs anything, just make sure to let her know. And same thing with Kelly Shimp and with Yvonne, they can help you too. Okay. Now, Shannon, you're under Sarah, right?
Yes.
I always forget who's under Jenny and who's under Sarah. So I'll be around all this week if you guys need some help, because I don't know what kind of stuff. Sarah Warfel's mom passed away a couple of days ago. So
yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So she kind of really didn't want us to like make like a huge, deal about it. I mean, she was in her 90s, but still, of course, it's always difficult. So if you
Right.
need help, Shannon, at all, or tell the girls on the team too, if anybody needs to reach out to me, just let us know, okay?
Well, we're still having our monthly meeting tomorrow, which is
okay, so
really
she's, okay.
surprising.
I
So,
haven't talked to her again now since, well, I think didn't it happen like last Sunday?
I don't know when.
I haven't talked to her since like the day after it happened. So I've just been kind of leaving her alone this week. So, okay. Anyway, but the systems, Ash, if you haven't gotten a chance to listen to Stephanie Richardson's call about the notebook, that one, I really liked the way she explained it in there. So if you haven't, have you done that?
I think I did, but I might
Okay.
have been doing it at work, so
Okay.
I might have
Okay.
not. I'll check it out again
I'll
tonight.
tag you in it, okay? I'll tag you in the post I put it in, so then you can find it again quickly. Okay, so then I kind of think it sounds like you guys have got this down too. Looks like you're making your contacts, and Shannon's got a recruit lead, stuff like that. So we'll just kind of go to the next one. Who was able to listen to Make It Impactful? Did you, Shannon?
I did.
Okay,
Yeah.
what was your takeaway from it?
Well, that's the one about the coaching.
Mhm.
I didn't. Okay. Well, basically, just what I got out of it, because I just got done listening to it before. Make it personal. Let them know that. Instead of saying, "Oh my God, you're $75 away from the next level," tell them how many orders that is.
Mhm.
Email the next day all your guests and your host. Do a lot of that after. It's one of the things I don't do real good is the after the party contacts. So contact your guests after the party, thank them for coming, tell them that you can still order. Host gets a benefit if you book, all that stuff, and then just say thanks again for being there.
Awesome. Yep, that's exactly it. Yep, that 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months, the 2x2x2 thing. If you once you get yourself into the habit of doing that, it really comes down to it's not that big of a deal. And the thing is too, is like, if it's not exactly 2 days, it's okay. Just as long as you're making those contacts. And really where you're going to see the benefit from it is usually around the 2-month mark. Because then those are the people that have been playing with the tools now for a couple months, and they appreciate the fact that you contacted them, and they might be interested in hosting themselves when you get to them, or you might have a small order to take from them, or they might be just super pleased because they had an issue and wasn't quite sure how to remember how to get a hold of you, and so then you can help them troubleshoot something. So it's really, we always talk about having this business be a relationship building business, and that's what you're going to end up having with this then. All right. So did you get a chance to listen to it this week?
No, I don't think so. I'm gonna
Okay.
go back and listen to it and see.
Okay.
It's been so hard to remember what ones I've listened to.
I know.
I've been listening to so
I know.
many
I almost feel like I
recordings.
need to. Yeah, I almost feel like I need to almost make like a spreadsheet for you guys to be able to check it off when you did it or something. I feel like that's what needs to be done with Director Bound. And there's also too, we don't have the homework Google Forms, and maybe we should do that on this, because I like that one on the 6 weeks to success. I like that because then I can look back at it myself. So we probably should do that. Okay.
Well, and I went and with all the coffee talks, because I wanted to listen to some of those, I went and created a spreadsheet that had all the links for any of them that had links. That way I can keep track of okay, this is one that I should probably listen to. Because I listened to the one overcoming objections, and that really helped.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that one that I posted, it was Shannon, you were on 6 weeks to success, right? But Ashley, you didn't do that.
A year ago.
Oh, a year ago. Okay, so we had just done 6 weeks to success right before we started Director Bound. And there was a coffee talk call about a month ago or so from Rachel Hansen on recruiting, and it's incredible. If you get a chance to go back and listen to that one, it was in January or February, I believe. So really, really good one though. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get started with sharing the opportunity. So let's see here, make sure I'm on the right slide here. Sharing the opportunity is really a simple process. It involves 3 steps: informing, inviting, and have an opportunity chat. So tonight we're gonna focus on the invite and the inform part of it. So what's the difference between informing and inviting? When you inform your show guests about the opportunity, you're simply giving them some information. You'll want to give enough information to help to create interest in our business opportunity. Examples of this are when you tell your story, when you plant recruiting seeds at your shows, like this came in my kit, or this item is included with extra bonus items you can earn this month if you start your own business. And go over the questions on the survey or the door prize slip at the end of your show for virtual parties. It's the post about why you love being a consultant in our new kits. You are always informing when you play a recruiting game or activity, or when you post for guests to ask questions about your job. Inviting is when you actually invite guests individually to learn more. It's not inviting them to sell. It might be as simple as seeing if they want to join you for a cup of coffee or soda to chat, to see if Pampered Chef looks like a good fit for them, or even calling or texting or private messaging them with that information. So you want to make sure that you always don't stop informing. Also invite each of your guests to find out more. And that was one of those things that, you know, I had to learn. It took me a long time, and I was not a game player, and I finally embraced, when I went through the LEAD program the first time a couple years ago, I finally embraced an asking game, and now several of my consultants use that same game, and they're adding people to their team. So it works really well. It's really one of the things I always like to make sure that you guys remember. It's an infamous line from Sharon Zellen that she will say, there is always a recruit at every show. At least one person at every show wants to join your team. There's somebody in the room or at that party that wants to, but she says there's always at least a recruit at the show, but is there a recruiter? Are you doing your job by doing the asking or the informing? So always think about that. Somebody at that show, there's one person there that probably wants to do this, if not like 4 or 5. You know what I mean? So usually it's always a piqued interest by at least one person at your show. But are you there to be ready to recruit them? Okay. Informing can happen at several different parts of your cooking show. The first one will probably be during what we call like the group hello, where guests introduce themselves and tell how they know the host. This will be where you'll tell a little bit about yourself. You may choose to tell your PC story at the beginning of the show, or you may choose to do it at the end. That's kind of a trend right now, is just kind of giving a quick little, my name is Kelly, I've been with Pampered Chef for 18 years, blah, blah, blah. And then we'll talk more about that later. And then you kind of go in to talking about it later. So some people are doing that now and finding it more effective. Let me see here. You will want to sprinkle those seeds about recruiting throughout your cooking shows. And you can, if anybody's doing like station style shows, you can even talk about a particular power tool like the Everyday Rat Crack and say, this is the amazing Everyday Rat Crack. It's so versatile. I use it, love it all the time in my kitchen at home. It came in my new consultant kit. So if you fall in love with this product today and decide to add it to your own kitchen, it's $119. But for just $40 more, you can decide to give this amazing business a try and purchase the deluxe kit instead. And then you'll get a Rat Crack and the simple slicer that we used, which is $32. Plus about $300 more in products, which many of which we use today. It's just for $159. Have you guys ever put it that way at a show? That's kind of interesting to think about it like that, isn't it? You know, yeah. It's really kind of cool. Or like you could do the same thing like with the grill pan, like with the ultimate kit. You could do, you know, I'm using this grill pan today and you could purchase it outright today. But if you just spent another you could get $1,000 worth of Pampered Chef products and a business you're probably going to like for a long time. So you might want to mention some perks, some other perks of being a consultant as you do your show, like earning trips. that like stuff like too, like saying things like, I have 2 Facebook parties running right now while you're at this party, kind of giving people to understand that you can really do a lot at once, nowadays with the virtual world that's out there. And remember to use a door prize slip when you're doing virtual parties or virtual parties. You can create a online virtual party slip too, and see if you can get people to fill that out. You can use it. Usually a lot of people use Google Forms for that. And, but don't forget about using your door prize slip. And it's not really about like the prize that you're giving away. It's about the check marks that they're doing. Sometimes people are a little bit easier to do a check mark on a, and then you can talk to them about it privately than, if they've already kind of got it checked, they kind of know they're probably going to get asked about it. So I still faithfully use a door prize slip. Let me see here. I know I just lost where I was at. All right. Okay, let's go to the next one. So watch for red flag questions. When people ask questions like these, you might be thinking, oh, how nice, she is interested in me. But what she's probably thinking instead is, could this be something that might work for me? Keep answers short, just a couple sentences, then say, have you ever thought about doing something like this? Or if you're doing it as kind of like a game at your show, just kind of keep answering questions. And if you ever get to a question that you're not sure how to answer, don't be afraid to say, I'm not quite sure how to answer that. Let me double check with my director. I don't want to give you wrong information, and I'll get back to you right away with that answer tomorrow. People are going to appreciate that you want to make sure that you're informing them correctly. So don't feel like it's like you're doing a bad job and not knowing what to answer. Sometimes some of those questions throw you for a loop. There's really, I finally feel comfortable in the last couple of years, with answering questions. So don't feel like it's something that comes super easy. But even little things like, I love the bottom one here, are those bags heavy? It's like they're thinking in their head, geez, it's really interesting sometimes the things that people, has anybody ever noticed that at your shows? Like questions like that, and maybe you haven't approached them with anything later? Have you ever had that come up like that?
Usually the host would ask me, are those heavy?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But nobody else really, because I don't try to show them all that.
Yeah. Let me see here. I actually finally never had gotten asked it, and I finally got asked it at a party on Saturday. Somebody asked if we actually got paid. And I've heard people say that. There's a lot of people out there that think we actually get paid in cooking tools. So it's like, I'm like, no, I actually make, I make money doing this. So, but that was the first time I've ever had somebody say that. So I thought that was funny. But it's like, no, we actually get a paycheck. So besides the questions people ask, you can also sometimes tell by people's behaviors. People who arrive early or stay late may be doing so to check out what you are doing. They may talk with you as you are setting up or packing up. They may offer to help you instead of saying, oh, no, thanks, I have a system. Let them help you. It will give you an opportunity to ask them if they would like more information. Don't forget to tell your story and notice who's hanging on to your every word. You'll be able to tell. And people who are very interactive during the show asks a lot of questions, make lots of comments, and say they have lots of PC in their house. They are great leads too. So if someone has lots of Pampered Chef, gives lots of tips, or maybe has even sold Pampered Chef before, be sure to talk to these people at Full Service Checkout in a direct way. You may say something like, did you know you sold 5 manual food processors today? Just because you talked about how amazing it was, 5 people bought it. You would be so great at what I do. Have you ever thought about doing something like this? Okay. And 2, I've had it recently where, well, Friday night is an example. I went down and did a party down in Illinois, and one of the girls, the girl I was doing the show for, literally only had about 4 Pampered Chef items and had never been to a show and never hosted a show. So her and her mom, neither of them knew very little about Pampered Chef, but her best friend, her name was Lola. Lola came in and she's like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe Karen's never had a party before. Like, she was so excited. Well, and come to find out, she was a prior to consultant about like 10, 15 years ago. And so she's one of my people on my radar. We talked a little bit, but it was a completely different world 10, 15 years ago. You know, she's like, oh, I was just too busy to get out and do cooking shows. Well, she doesn't have to do cooking shows anymore if she doesn't want to. So she might be a person that might want to step back into the game. You know what I mean? So don't discount somebody, you know, because they were a former consultant. It doesn't necessarily mean that they didn't like what they did. You know what I mean? So definitely reach out to those people, okay? Be sure to tell your story. You'll want to include why you started Pampered Chef, why you've stayed with Pampered Chef, and what you're excited about next. So be sure to keep your story short and relatable. If you go into too much detail about things, people can't relate to that and they'll kind of tune you out. So you might say something like this: I got started with Pampered Chef because I fell in love with the products and wanted them in the kitchen, but couldn't afford to buy them all. So we had some extra spending money at first, but what I found out was I could actually make my car payments too, along with pizza and movies. And then that I could also pay the mortgage and make a significant contribution to our monthly expenses. I'm working now on becoming a director with our company, so I'm looking for people who want to be consultants, but I'm also looking for leaders who might want to do this along with me. So watch what I do tonight, and if it looks like something you'd like to try, I'd love to talk with you more about it. Okay? That's pretty simple though, isn't it? It's not, don't throw up all over them. Just kind of give them a short little stint of what you got going on, okay? Just, sometimes we have like garbage mouth and we're like, blah, 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 and you can do this and you do it. And it's like, no, just like kind of give them a little bit. And then that's what that little talk that you're going to have with them's about, okay? So there are several recruiting activities that you might want to try at your cooking shows. Popular one is a ticket game. I kind of do a ticket game. Mine's actually called the question game, and I use a deck of cards, and there's $100 bills on the cards, and I ask questions with them. And I was never like, I hated playing games. I never wanted my guests to feel like I was trying to force them to have a party or something. I hated that, like when I used to go to direct selling companies and they have well, they're talking about the envelope game. I don't like the envelope game myself. I don't want to make anybody feel like they have to have a party, if they open it. That's just me. But so mine's more of like a question and answer informative thing. My first question is I ask them if they saw something here tonight that they have to have. And then I give them a card for that. Then my second question is what were some of the benefits for hosting a show? And so then when we get through all the hosting shows, I give people cards for that. And then the next thing I ask them is what kinds of questions do they have for me about becoming a consultant, or what I do for as a consultant. And I tell them I'm an open book and they can ask me anything. On the backs of my catalogs, or on the second to the last page of my catalogs, I have some questions printed inside the catalog, like on a sticker. And so if somebody doesn't have a question, I'll say, open to the back of your catalog and just go ahead and read me off one of those questions, because somebody here in this room really may have a question, but they may be too nervous to ask. So go ahead and start the conversation for me. And so I'll say, Ashley, can you open the back of your catalog and read me the first question? And so that's how I'll start it if I don't have somebody start for me, okay? And then usually once the one question gets asked, then like entourage of questions will start coming. And that's really interesting to me how that happens. And that's really where I get a lot of recruit leads from nowadays. So they get these $100 cards when we're done talking about what I do as a consultant. Then I say, who here has one card? And I'll say, what would you do with an extra $100 a month? And I say, and be honest, would you blow it? Would you save it? Would you, I tell them however you want to tell, do what you're going to do. Then I ask the person that has like 4 or 5 cards, what would you do with an extra 500? And then the person that has the most cards, I will say, what would you do with an extra $1,000 a month? And we've just listened to all those questions. And then I say, I love hearing, what you would get with this, because I just love I want everybody to understand that this business can be a different want or need for anybody. But, it can be just fun money. It can be for you to save for a family vacation. It can be to replace a complete career or income. And then I go on to say that, in 2009, when people lost their houses, most people lost their houses in 2009 over near $300 a month. So a business like this could have been a real, awesome thing for them at that time. So I just always want to know, people to know that it's available to them if they're interested. And then whoever had the most cards, I give them a door prize. So it's just kind of it's kind of like my inform and invite, right boom there. And then I can set up coffee talks with people. Okay. So I love that one. But ticket games, pass the prize, envelope. Oh, envelope here is different. That one is kind of like asking questions for you. I think, are they giving you? Nope, it's not. I was thinking they were giving you examples. Did you know why card? Don't know what that one is. Why bag? I've heard that one before. You put things in there of what your why is. You might put a rubber band and say, I love the flexibility. You have a rubber band. Somebody that might be using their income for sending their kid to private school, they might have like a little brochure from their kids' school in there. This job helps me pay for school for my child to go to a private school. Or somebody might have like a umbrella thing that they put in like a cocktail drink and say, I love it that I can earn free vacations. And so they put different things about what they love, what their why is for Pampered Chef. And then does anybody here use the recruiting slide that you can order on Consultants Corner? So one side has recruiting stuff, the other side has booking stuff. So a lot of people use that. It's just a really simple way to do things too. So I do like some of these. Let's see here. Yeah, each page of it tells the perks of being a consultant. It's really effective. If Sarah probably has one, Shannon, if you've never seen it, and Ashley, I have one too. If you want to see it, if you've never seen it before too, okay. I'll have it Wednesday at the meeting. If you want to see it. Okay. So sharing the opportunity on virtual parties. That involves doing posts that will create interest among your guests who are participating in the party. You might do a game like Ask Me a Question About My Job, or a commission check game. So that you can post a copy of a person's commission check and ask how many shows they think the person did. Anyone who likes or comments on any of your recruiting posts is a potential lead. So you should reach out to them by private message, text, call, or email. Share perks of being a consultant, just like you would at a cooking show. I like to complete my virtual parties with a Google survey. Or like I said, you can do call it like a door prize slip. You can ask same types of questions that you would on the survey slips from a cooking show. People might not be as likely to say, hey, I want information on a show. They might keep private more information, blah, 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 I can't talk. They may want more info privately, so give them this opportunity. It's a great idea to do a full service checkout calls with your guests after orders are placed and before your shows close. Are you guys doing that on your virtual parties? Are you trying to check in with everybody before the party closes? That's one of those big things. That's how the big virtual party people like Steven Joseph and Cami Cruz and those guys, that's what they're doing, is they're reaching out and messaging all of those guests from cooking shows. Whether they comment once, like something, they reach out to all of them, because that's how they're getting their bookings and their recruit leads from virtual parties. Okay, so make sure you kind of find yourself a system for how you want to do that. Usually what I've done is, if say like I have a question in my virtual party about ask me anything, blah, blah, blah. What I'll do is they might say something, and then I might say, hey, and I've sent you a private message, so then they know to check. Because usually you're not friends with them either, so sometimes it doesn't pop up in their box right away. So just make sure that they're aware. So hopefully then they'll correspond with you then. Okay. If you have, neither of you guys would have direct ship now, and then none of the new girls will, so I'm not even going to worry about that. It's also a great business practice to send them the thank you email after each ordering guest with a recipe, or offer information about booking or joining your team. So you could even do a little bit more than the thank you email that comes right in Consultants Corner on your show. Add a recipe to it, since they weren't experiencing something at the show. It's a little bit different with virtual. You kind of have to work a little bit harder on building a relationship with virtual parties. And the most important most important person, Cheese, to follow up with is your host. She or he is your best potential recruit. So ask the host before the show starts, or maybe even turn it into her first show, during the show, and at the end before you close. Tell him or her about Kit Credit and see if they want to give it a try. You're not going to know the answer until you ask, okay? So just, you never know. And is it really going to hurt somebody's feelings if you ask them if they're interested in the business? I don't think they're going to be offended. You know, they just might say, no, thanks, it's not, you know, it's not anything I'm interested in. Then you know, okay? And then you can always say, no, not now, or no, not ever. And then you know to follow up with them. Because it might even just be something like, oh, I got to get through, this is my daughter's senior year of school. I got to get through her graduating and getting her graduation party done and stuff. But I might be ready to start maybe in July. So why don't you connect with me then? So don't ever just listen to the no, not now, or no, not ever. Okay. So these are some posts. Graphics from Marketing Imagery under the training tab on Consultants Corner. Some of these might be outdated now. There might be new ones because the slide presentation was done a little while ago. But here's some ones. Earn the money you need. That one's always a cute one. So these are some different ones that you can post on. Yeah, this one's old. A year from today, you'll wish you'd started today. Ask me anything. I'd love your answers. A question about Pamper Chef. I've even just posted that on my regular business page before, and I've gotten people. Or even there's the picture with the aprons. There's room at our table. These. Lori that's on my team right now, this is how she, I posted this picture with some information one day and she contacted me and she's been on my team since October and doing wonderful. So you just never know what something's gonna catch somebody's eye, okay? So, you know, once a week, maybe, post something on your business page or your VIP page. Yeah, go ahead, Shannon.
Now I've heard people actually post like the opportunity to host and to become a consultant like once a day in their virtual parties. Is that normal, or would you say less than that?
I usually do kind of like an every other day thing. So like if my show starts on Monday, for instance, I might post about booking Monday, then I might post about the opportunity on Tuesday, then I might bring booking up again on Thursday and then post about, you know, like that. So I usually kind of do it like once a day, but not both. It would be like every other day. Ashley, is that what you're doing?
Yeah, I try to space it out a little bit.
Okay.
And I'm trying to get better at like posting on a regular basis on my page. But it's been hard because I'm trying to like juggle work and then setting up the parties this weekend. So I'm thinking once I get my systems in place, I'll be able to focus on what I share on my page.
Well, and it's another thing too to think about is another thing you might want to just add to kind of like to start your week or kind of plan out your week is say, okay, on Sundays when I'm planning out my week, I'm going to go into CintShare and I'm going to post in CintShare 5 things, you know, something for the next 5 days that will just post to my VIP page. So then you're not having to remember to go in there every day. Maybe just post them in advance. Okay. Last month I had one of my friends, Katie, out on the west or the East Coast. She did this really cool thing called 31 Days to an Organized Home. So I did she put them out there for people to use. So I just went through CintShare and just posted. So for 31 days, it posted a tip a day, you know, to getting your house organized and stuff. And so that was really awesome. And I had lots of people comment on those. So people like it when you do fun stuff like that, or a challenge, or, you know, even simple things like it's Taco Tuesday. Show me a picture of your tacos that you made for dinner tonight, and I'll put everybody's name in a drawing and draw on Friday or something, you know. Get them excited and interacting. Even just simple little things like saying something like, what's your favorite thing to do on the grill? Post in a GIF, and, you know, then you get all these fun little pictures of bacon, and, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a fun thing for people. They get excited about doing stuff like that when they're sitting and scrolling through their phone in the morning while they're drinking their coffee. You know what I mean? So they like stuff like that. So let me see here. I lost where I'm at. Okay, so we will, hold on if I'm on the right slide here. Okay, so at full service checkout. Okay, so we will invite people to get more info for sure during the full service checkout. If you did an activity like the ticket game, you might ask, what about the opportunity interested you the most? Or say, you were so much fun at the show and you already totally love our products. Have you ever thought about doing something like this? If they say yes, ask them if they have more questions or if they're ready to order their new consulting kit. You can sign them up at the show, or if you have more questions, try to set up an appointment to answer those the very next day if you can. Maybe over coffee or soda or even on the phone if that's all that will work. Move quickly before they or someone else talks them out of it. That's the big thing. If they say no, you can ask, is that no, not now, or no, not ever? They will usually laugh and just say, oh, just not right now, I'm too busy. Depending on their response, you might ask when you can follow up. Ask if you would like to be added to your Facebook group for those thinking about getting started, or an empathetic no, then say, well, if the circumstances ever change you where you think you might be interested to give it a try, just I'd love to help you get started. Or if you know someone else that could use some extra money or might enjoy doing this, please think of me. You can also ask those who are interested in the opportunity if they would like to host a show. This gives you another touch point to work with them again, and they may just change their mind. Another time you can invite us for future hosts when you ask to make the 24-hour call to confirm their party. The verbiage is on the next slide, and ask guests, you can call or email them the day after the party to thank them for ordering. These are called Big Mac calls or morning after calls. Here's the verbiage for the Big Mac calls. Hi, Julie. This is April with Pampered Chef. I wanted to give you a quick call to say thank you for booking a party with me. I know we're going to have so much fun. And then confirm the date and time and talk about how to invite. I know that you mentioned this yesterday, but I have to say that you've been on my mind. I think you'd be a great consultant with Pampered Chef, and it would be terrific to have you as part of my team. I'd love to get together with you for a cup of coffee and tell you a little bit about our business. I know you'll love what you'll hear. What do you think? Again, you'll want to act depending on their responses to your questions. If you are meeting, do it quickly. If you don't, they may talk themselves out of it before you meet. Or a friend might say, oh, you don't want to sell that. Sell Rodan Fields or sell Sensi with me, or sell, you know what I mean? Like, make sure you get on it quick, for sure. Hi, Sally, it's Kelly with Pampered Chef. I wanted to give you a quick call to say thank you for attending Julie's party last night. Did you have fun? Great. I know you mentioned this yesterday, but I have to say that you've been on my mind. I think you'd be a great consultant with Pampered Chef, and it would be terrific to have you as part of my team. And I'd love to get together with you for a cup of coffee and tell you a bit about our business. I know you love what I hear. What do you think? So kind of the same thing, just a little different spin on it. And you never know who is at your shows. By just looking at people, you can tell if they're afraid their lights may be turned off by tomorrow, or if you had a huge fight with their boss that day and need to find a change quickly. You can tell by looking, so you have to ask. You can't tell by looking, so you have to ask everyone. And I love this graphic. I use it a lot at my virtual parties and virtual party events. Is this the right one? I might not have. Oh yeah, if they say yes, it's time to meet up. If they say no, offer to do a show for them. I wish the slide thing was numbered in the corner, because I always am like, what? What number am I on? Okay, 28. Okay, at your shows, do you know, you never know who's at your shows. Did I just read this one? Yes, this is the one I was supposed to be reading on this slide. So you never know who's at your shows. If you're just looking at people, you can't tell if they're afraid. So look, who was laid awake last night worrying about bills? Who cried this morning leaving her baby at daycare? Who is wondering when their electricity will be turned off? Who needs friends and joy in his or her life? Who is afraid to retire because he or she is afraid of finances? Who is afraid about having money to pay for braces or a wedding? Who needs money right now for a short-term item? Who is miserable at his or her current job and needs a change? It's so sad to me how many people are living in this world in a job that they absolutely hate. Because I mean, I really truly can say that I love my job. You know, a lot of people can't say that. So one of the things I get out to sometimes about playing that card game that I do is one of the very first times I played it, the girl only had 3 people at her show. And so things kind of were a little bit more personalized in the show. We kind of did it real, it was just a little bit different. It wasn't it was a little bit more personal. And when we got to doing the card game, one of the girls, when I asked her what she would do with an extra $100 a month, she said, and like kind of looked at me and was like, I could buy groceries. Not like I would buy more groceries. I could buy groceries. And like legit, her and her husband just had their first baby. She wasn't working and they were super struggling. You know what I mean? So I actually, all 3 of those girls that were at that party were recruit leads, and one of them did sign out of the 3. So you just, like I said, you just never know. So sometimes that personal questions that you're asking really makes somebody think too. Okay. So ask everyone is Cookie Monster, little Cookie Monster here. Offer the opportunity to everyone. Think about it this way. Let's say you're in a room full of people and you have a platter of cookies. Would you only offer some cookies to some of the people? Of course not. You would offer them to everyone. The opportunity is the same way. You never know who might be interested or who might really need it. And you also don't want to be doing a full service checkout with people and having people maybe sometimes when people are waiting for their orders, they kind of stand in line. So you don't want to ask one person and then have the next person and you don't ask that person. And then they might be thinking, why didn't she ask me? She must not have liked me. She must not have wanted to have a party with me. So you never want to, and sometimes those people surprise me that say, when I ask them, and I just tell them, I haven't even had a chance to look at my door prize slip. So I just wanted to say, did you get everything that you wanted tonight? Or did you want to host your own show to get the rest of the stuff on your wish list? And sometimes people shock me, like maybe the quietest person at the party actually wants to have a show and you're like, oh my gosh, I would have never picked that person. I didn't think they would want one, right, Shannon? So have you had that before? Yeah. So you never want to just discount somebody or have them feel like you left them out. You know what I mean? Of something. All right. So please keep calm because we're the best team ever. So we are still working on promoting our team. So if you're needing help with recruit leads, stuff like that, I really would love to work with you on it. I've got some big goals to go to Paris in September. So Ashley, if you have anything that, you want to personally work on with me, I'd love to help you with that, hon. And then your call to action for next week is going to be practice recruiting messages and activities you'll do at shows. Observe a strong recruiter show. Offer the opportunity to everyone at full service checkout and do a 24-hour follow-up call. And that call doesn't have to be a call. You could also, I always just ask my hosts what's the best way to get a hold of them. I want to be respectful. I know that half the time I don't want to talk on the phone anymore. I don't half the time. So much easier because then you can answer people back at your own time. Make your 15 contacts a week outside your party. Power hour for bookings and recruits. Listen to Top Recruiters Tell It All with Brenda Copy and Genevieve Black. Brenda Copy is one of my very dear friends. I met Brenda on my very first incentive trip back in 2006 when we were both team leaders, and we've stayed friends for years and years and years. And she promoted last year to an executive director. So she does an amazing job. She left her job in social work after her business just going amazing and then going through kind of a bad divorce. So she's her sole supporter of her kiddos and does this on her own now. She does Pampered Chef as her full-time job. So she is awesome. And Genevieve Black is awesome too. I don't know Genevieve personally, but this one is a good call. So I hope you guys enjoy it. So I'll post this on the page as well as the recording. Oh, look it's 9:01. I did it I tried to talk fast, so we didn't go over. So I apologize for the snafus. I'm going to stop recording, guys, and I'll post this. Let me just stop this here.
One thing I wanted to say, though. Oh, shoot.
Oh, you want me to post it? Or you want it on the recording?
I did, yeah. One of the things that I wanted to say is that No Not Now or No Not Ever has actually brought me a lot of bookings.
Mm-hmm.
I for sure, like in the very beginning, I heard about that phrase. And when I started Pampered Chef, I had my sister-in-law booking, and I knew 100% that her mom was not going to book a party. She was never going to book a party. I knew it. And then I asked her, no, not now, or no, not ever. And she goes, not now, but call me in a couple of months because we're moving. She had one of my top shows when I started working or started doing this. So as simple as it is.
Yeah, and it's so funny because I've asked that before, and somebody's been like, oh, no, I can't do that. And I'll be like, okay, well, no, not now, or no, not ever. Oh, she's like, oh, no, can you wait and call me on Friday? And I'm like, oh, like I was thinking, no, she does not want to have a show, and she just wants me to call her in like 3 days instead of talking to her tonight about this. I mean, it's like you just don't know.
Right, crazy.
We're all busy. We're all crazy. Just take that extra little step and say that. Just say, no, not now, or no, not ever. And that can work for bookings. That can work for recruiting. You know, it's definitely a wraparound, you know, a wraparound with that. So don't be afraid to ask that question. And it's kind of the same thing, like I said. Is somebody going to get mad at you for asking that? Probably not. You know what I mean? Like, just ask them so you know what's going on. You're like, I just want to make sure that I can follow up with you properly. I don't want to leave you hanging. So, so yes, absolutely.
One thing that I found when I was listening to the objections video or call was just saying like, thank you so much for being honest with me. I wanted to make sure I asked, like, and then some of the things, like when they were saying, you know, overcoming objections for booking, just saying, thanks so much for saying that. Let me just ask you if, hypothetically speaking, if knowing enough people wasn't an issue, would you be interested in, or wouldn't it be fun to host a party? Just validating, you know, what they were saying and stuff, just making sure that they know that you actually heard them and making it a little bit more relatable, I guess.
Absolutely. And I even had a host that I had a party with a few months back. She had contacted me. She was an amazing host. She had just did an awesome job on getting people to her party. 10 people to her party in an awful snowstorm. Like, I wasn't even going to come. Like, it was so bad because it was over by Lake Geneva. So it was kind of like, it was like about an hour away from my house, and it was horrible that night. But she's like, I have 10 people still coming because they all live in my neighborhood. And I'm like, I'm on my way then. Like, I'm not gonna, you know, if they're still gonna make it, I'll do it. I'll just leave early, blah, blah, blah. And it was fine. She did a great job. And so she had contacted me to see if I could donate something. And I don't always do that. I will try to encourage people to have a virtual party quick to try to see if they can get actually more than what I would donate, but she literally just had a party. So I said, I'll donate it to you. And she sent a message back to me, and I gotta follow up with her. I gotta decide how I want to say it, but she sent a message to me, and she said, let me find it here quick, if I can read it to you, how she worded it. She said, you know, I am so addicted to this stuff. If I did not have a job, I would come work for you. So she wants to do this. She wants to do it, but she works a very, very demanding nursing job. So what I need to do now is I need to come up with a response to her and say, if I could help you work through that, would it be something you would consider? You know, so if I can find a way for her to make it work by maybe being a virtual consultant and showing her that we use like Sincere and stuff like that. So there is a red flag right there.
The consultant that I am possibly going to be signing by the end of the month is also a nurse. And I told her, I said, I work 50 to 60 hours a week at my normal job. And I said, and then I come home and I do this. And I said, this is what I love. And she's like, oh my God, thank you so much for saying that, because I was so worried because I do have a full-time job. And I'm like, no, this is the job that I want to live for, you know? So yeah, it is possible.
I would say probably like statistically, I would say probably about 70 to 80% of people that do Pampered Chef have a full-time job, and only about, 20% are doing this full-time. So, I mean, it's very doable, you know. And that's the thing, like without people that had done it before, you know, getting them to understand, like with virtual parties, and you know, you're not sitting on your phone all day. People don't understand that unless they're familiar with this, that we've got ways that we go around that, you know.
Right.
And like when you say at your parties, I've got 2 virtual parties going on right now and I'm here. You know, people will be like, what? And I'd be like, well, I was a post scheduler, and I post them all. It takes me about a half an hour. I post all my posts for the week and just let it roll out. And then I just go back and answer questions every day when they pop up. So they're like, what? You know,
Yep.
it's amazing. It is amazing. So, all right, I'm going to go ahead and hit stop recording here.